Hey, everyone. Hope I'm audible. I just had this whole internet thing go down and then I was completely lost. Let's wait for Utba to hop in. Hello, Subra. Hello, Sophia. No problem. Um, we had this internet go down. Like in my house, it went completely down and nothing was working, and then it was a mess. Hey, everyone. Hey. Let me just contact Utba once. Ashish. Uh, Please wait a second. Utba is coming. Let me just check if we are live and nothing's laggy or stuff. Krish codes. There we go. Hey, Rishika. Hey, Badshah. Okay, so we are completely live and run. Hey, Sophia. Hey. I'm just waiting for Udba to hop in, but for some reason the invite link's not actually working. And then Udba is just coming in a minute. The second episode was completely a mess. It just went like the whole episode since the start went through like technical problems. Let me just wait for Udba. Linux. You can learn anytime you want. Linux is like the basics of the Homelab and DevOps, so it's like a must learn for you, and you can actually learn it from the various free resources online. I suggest the Network Chuck's course on that. Udba shared me the link. It's pretty fine. Hey Utba, guys, I think Utba is here. Utba, can you hear me? Um, Let me just fix the microphone. No,
Hi,
still
can
no
you hear me?
sound.
I'm so sorry,
Your
man. I
audio
was
is
just
like,
having.
man, your audio is very loud. Your audio is very loud.
Okay, 1 second. Is it
Wait, let me
good?
just lower the audio. Yeah, it's fine. Let me just lower your audio a bit. Yeah, it's completely fine now, I guess. Please say
You
anything.
sure?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
I just went into
Sorry,
this
man.
tense
Having
mode
some
today.
technical issues for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, my internet went down. I don't know why. Suddenly, I contact the ISP, but they tell me that we can't do anything from here. We tried our best, and then I was like, "What do you mean by you can't do anything right now?"
It happened, man. It's technical issues. That's what we have to deal with
Yeah,
on a daily basis. Yeah. Got a lot of people already waiting. Sorry, guys. Just typical technical issues. But glad that you can hear us now.
yeah, it was
I just wanted to make
just.
sure one more time. Is my sound clear enough? Everybody,
Yes.
can you confirm?
Hey, audience, can you please confirm whether Upa is clearly audible? There we go. Udpa's mic is a bit low. Okay, let me. Udpa say something.
Can you hello? Testing?
Hey, Sophia. I guess it's louder now. I just made his voice a bit louder, or maybe let me just increase the volume a bit more. I think this time there shouldn't be any problems. Yep, completely clear. Udpa's Raspberry Pi is unboxing today.
I cannot see the chat, but anyway.
You can click on this, like the right bar here, and then click on chat from here.
Yeah, I mean it's there, but the new chat's not popping up for some reason.
Ah, shit.
That's fine. That's fine. What I'll do is I'll open YouTube and I'll just access from there.
Okay, so welcome to the 404 podcast, everyone. Here I'm Krishna, and today I have the like one and only Udba Zafar with me, who is gonna be telling about getting started with home labs
Mm-hmm.
and learning DevOps using your very own home lab.
Yep.
So, first of all, I would like to ask Udba, what exactly is a home lab, and why should a beginner in tech set up a home lab?
Before I do that, I wanted to, formally introduce myself so that way people can understand what my background is and what leads me to this home lab. By profession, I'm a system engineer, also known as sysadmin. Um, but where do you go? Anyway, so sysadmin, and I use home lab to practice and learn different stuff. That's basically my day-to-day, job that involves a lot of dealing with servers and configuration and networking and all that. So, for me to learn all this, that's why I started Home Lab. Krishna, are you there? I cannot hear you?
Yeah, I just turned off my video. I'm just fixing a thing.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I thought like I lost you, man. So yeah, so I'm a system engineer. Been in the industry for 5 years. Started from from low and then work my way up. Then I learned web dev for pretty much a year and a half. And I started a couple of projects, created a couple of projects, but I ended up didn't like it. So because the reason why is I was pretty much involved in coding, and the love that I have for hardware was kind of like moving to a side. And in order for me to focus on both side of it, the development side and then my operation side, that's why I chose to go with DevOps. And then I'll explain the whole, in and out of it as we, go in the on this podcast. And yeah, I don't know if you heard me, Krishna. You heard me? Okay. So what was your question again? Sorry, I was just trying to be more. I was just kind of confused and getting you back and forth. So
Yeah, so my question was, what exactly is a home lab and why should a beginner in tech set up a home lab?
okay, so and just in this really simplest term to explain someone what is home lab is basically a playground, right, that involves a lot of hardware, and you just like set up at home to practice, whatever problems that you have. Let's say for example, if you're in a technical, if you just get a job and you don't understand how things works, you actually set up the environment at home to practice and learn, so that way you can get better at work. That involves a lot of, like, if you want to have a dealing with servers, you want to test a lot of operating systems, you have to test out a lot of like networkings, different kind of tools and stuff that you're struggling. You just like to set up everything at home to practice. Just like if someone is coding, you're not gonna just go to the work and pretend that you know everything. You have to create a lot of projects, understand the in and out of the components of what components use in programming language in order to create a project, right? That's the same thing applies on this home lab, right? So that's basically what it is. It's just simplest form is just a playground that you create to test out and learn different tech stacks and different technologies at home. I cannot hear you, sir.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
now I
Ashish
can.
has this question that into web dev for almost a year now. Should I explore DevOps now?
Okay, so a year, honestly speaking, DevOps, it's not, it's so in order for you to be really good in DevOps, you need to understand either operation side or being a good developer, right? Because you need to do a lot of testings, you need to do a lot of running a lot of pipeline, you need to work with a lot of cloud environment, you need to work with a lot of like virtualization and different type of stuff, right? I would say DevOps is not a beginner friendly role. It's basically evolving role. Like say if you are already a developer working as a developer in one of the company and you have an experience for 5 years or 4 years or 3 years, then yeah, you can go to DevOps. Now, that doesn't mean that beginner or maybe someone who just fresh out of college, like graduate from college, they cannot get into DevOps. They can, but it's a lot of stuff that you need to learn in order to be able to qualify for the job. It involves a lot of like tools, a lot of like tech stacks, different turn environments that you have to learn. Like for example, Linux. You need to be really good at Linux. You need to be really good at GitHub. Git. Sorry. You have to be really good at Git. You understand the virtualization. You need to understand the whole diff, de, the networking side. You need to understand how networking like protocols works, how you can connect two different computers and connect them remotely. You need to understand all these stuff. Then on top of that, you have to do a lot of automation. You need to learn a lot of automation script. You can either do with Bash, Golang, or maybe Python, depending on what kind of language that you are good with, or what kind of language that the company that you're going to apply for are requiring you to learn, because every company has a different way to handle certain automation tasks. They need to learn Ansible, which means that you have to provision, Terraform or Ansible. Either one. One is basically it's the IAC, which is infrastructure as a code. That means you deploy one server, but then when you have to deal with hundreds or thousands of servers, you're not gonna go in install each server. Like that will take you ages. So you have to learn like Terraform, which is basically you have to write the script and then push it out in order for you to create a bunch of like hundreds or thousands of servers at the same time. I
Okay, so
mean, yeah,
Ashish
it
says that.
seems like a lot, but once you understand either a developer, like if you're really good at development side and you coming to the DevOps, half of the thing you already tackled. The only thing that you need to learn is more of a little bit of operation side, but that can be handled if you know at least half of that stuff. So really, if you're doing a web dev, highly recommend be really good at it. So that way in the future, if you decide to go to DevOps, you can. But knowing all these factors before you jump, you have to make a really good decision, to the point that, hey, is it really worth it? Am I going to learn? Is it worth it? Of course, it's worth it. But it's like if you're already doing great at the being a web dev, or being a developer in general, then I would say just stick to it. And then once you have enough experience, then you can move to DevOps, you know, because there's a lot of stuff that you need to learn.
That's
Yes, sir.
great. I hope that Ashish has had his question answered. And then I would like to move ahead with my second question, but I think Ulba already did answer it while introducing himself. That how did you first get an interest in building a home lab?
So, okay. Um, I've been in Homelab for I started my Homelab back in before COVID. Before COVID, I was doing home labbing, not huge, maybe like in a little bit here and there just to learn and practice, right? You got to understand home lab, it's not when you go to home lab, you see a bunch of people like have this network rack, you have like bunch of computers, the whole data center running. It's not that. Home lab is, like I mentioned, it's just a playground. Or you can set up a you can start with home labbing, first downloading a virtual box on your existing computer right now, either desktop, laptop, whatever. um, Play around with Linux. Play around with different distribution of Linux, like with Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch Linux. There's a lot of Linux flavors that you can try. Try it, see how it is. If you like it, then move up. You move up in Home Lab as you progress. Now you want to like set up so many things and you don't even know where to even begin with because I just bought all these equipments. Does it make sense? So that's why I started in home labbing and before COVID. Where it got me interested is when I was progressing at my job. So when I'm switching, when I got promoted, there was a lot of like tools and stuff that I need to learn, and that's what created this whole whatever the environment that I have at job, I created that locally at home, just to understand and troubleshoot so that when I'm at work, I'm not going to struggle because I already practiced it enough. And that's what my interest went even more into, like Linux and, web dev and now to DevOps. So yeah.
Thank you, Udba. So my next question is basically like, how much hardware, like what basic hardware do you need to get started with a home lab?
That's a really good question. And I often get a lot of questions like that. People always ask me like, "Hey, how can I start you? I see your picture like posting, so many." I'm like I mentioned, you the first home lab equipment that you need, it's in your closet right now. Maybe dusting it, is in your closet getting dusted. And what it is just the old computer. There's a lot of people have, or maybe in your family members that they don't use computers anymore. Get it? You know what I mean? Because majority of the stuff that is you build home lab with, it's the old equipment, really old, and I'm talking about 10 years, 15 years old. You know what I mean? So you that's something that you have to build. Either that, or you can use something like this, Raspberry Pi. It's a tiny bit. You can get it from Amazon for like 30, 40 bucks, right? And then just install like different, operating systems on it. You want like Linux, you can install Linux server, test it out with Dockers, play around with Docker, Kubernetes. If you want, you can install like Ubuntu, desktop, play around with the desktop version of Linux. You can install like DNS server, Plex server, whatever server you want to play around, you can download and install on this tiny bit. And then once you understand enough, and then you know that, hey man, this tiny bit is I already know everything. I need to move up. Then you go and buy different hardware according to your needs. And I'll be specifically, I'm gonna tell you according to your needs. Not what you wanted is your needed. If you need it, go get it. Not when you want it, because once you start doing like, oh, I want this, that's where you're gonna hit your pocket really hard.
That's an awesome answer. Uh, Bye bye, Sophia.
Bye, Sophia.
So my
Thanks for
next
coming.
question,
Hmm.
my next question will be, um, you already have answered this, so I'll just skip this and I'll
Hmm.
ask, what are the initial software requirements for setting up a home lab?
Okay, so I would say it depends on the role or what you want to learn, right? Now, my way is I will if I'm it depends on the type of device you have as well. If you have like tiny device like this, I will say install maybe a Ubuntu server and test it out. Now you want to be like, hey man, I already understand this. I need to move up. I need to learn virtualization. Now, installing virtualization in small device like this, not really. I don't recommend, because I mean, the components and the processor speed is not enough to handle it. However, if you have a beefy desktop, maybe a gaming computer or some desktop that you have, then you can download like virtual or hypervisor, right? And in hypervisor, you download it, and then you can create multiple operating system, like a machines, like VMs on it, and then you can practice. Like if you want Ubuntu, you have it. You need Linux, you have it. You need like Windows, even Windows servers, you have it. Everything is installed. So software, it depends on what kind of hardware and what kind of role that you want to tackle, and what's your purpose. What's your First of all, you need to first find out what is the main purpose of building this home lab. First of all, lay out, create it, because if you're just gonna go off your top, oh, I want this, trust me, you're gonna spend so much money, but you're not gonna use all those equipment, and at the end of the day, you're just gonna waste your money for nothing. You know what I mean? So first, plan it out, see what you need, and start with network stack first. Okay, and what I mean by network stack, understand what is a router is, what is the switch is, what is the firewall is. Build first networking side, and then understand, because when you build this home lab, you'll be doing a lot of testing, and if you do not have a solid networking foundation built, right, you're gonna end up doing a lot of like malicious stuff. You know what I mean? And then keep in mind that not a lot of people have like beefy equipment at home. Maybe they're sharing their rooms with their parents and family, and you're not gonna like have the isolated environment to play with. So that's why I say create a firewall, get a switch, manage switch, so that way you can create bunch of like VLAN, and that way you don't mess with home network, and then you just stay within your environment. So yeah, like going back to your question, it all depends on what do you want and what your needs are.
Thank you, Udba. Before I move ahead to the next question, I would like to ask if my voice and video is clear because I'm having this internet issue here.
Yeah, no, you're good. I can see
Awesome.
you.
Awesome, awesome. So my next question will be regarding DevOps, since that is also a topic for this podcast. So, like, why would someone want a home lab for learning DevOps? Like, what's the benefit of having a home lab for DevOps?
Okay, so the number one requirement, what number one thing is DevOps, it's you have to play a lot with the cloud infrastructure, right? Now you have to play with a lot of like Azure, AWS, GCP, because you need to test out your application, and you need to test it out with the cloud to make sure that it works. You have to run a lot of CI/CD pipeline. You need to do all those stuff, right? Now sometimes cloud can be a really costly, and the reason why is because not a lot of they give you if you're a student, I would say start with cloud, because majority of the school, they already offer you the pro license for free because you're a student. But if you're not a student and you still want to learn, sometimes they have this trial version that you can start for a 1 year or something, depending on you can, I think Amazon, Azure is like 1 year. Amazon, I think it's a little bit, it's not too costly. The reason why I want to build home life or DevOps is the freedom that I get. Now, if you create a, let's say, if you using a uh, in DevOps, you need to work with a lot of virtual machine in Linux environment and more of a VMs. That way, you have to do a lot of like CI/CD pipeline. You need to do a lot of like Terraform to create, servers, right? And majority of those majority of those cloud infrastructure, right, it's already pre-generated, because you have to just select like, okay, I need 2 cores CPU, I need 4 GB RAM, I need like 20 gigs of storage and all that, and then boom, you'll get ready. Where HomeLab differs is you have to create everything from scratch. That means you actually learning from beginning to the end, right? And another thing is, everything that you do, you own the whole configuration and data that is processing on that particular environment, right? It's not like I'm not sharing with Google, I'm not sharing my data with Azure or anything. So that way it's just a limit. Yeah, you might need it, right? You don't have to start with cloud. You can just build home lab practice. Once you feel comfortable enough, then Azure and GCP and their all environment is pretty much similar to what you're gonna do at home lab. Like for example, in my case, I have I have one server that I built. I got it, which has 128 GB RAM. It has like 24 core CPU. It has like um I think three disk, three of 2 terabyte SSD in each. So I have the RAID on SSD. Now it makes it's a beefy computer. So then I have VMs that has like I'm running GitLab and good in Docker. I'm self-hosting everything. I have my own GitLab. I have my own runners. I have my own Docker. I have my own Linux environment. I have everything that I need that I can have outside in the cloud. I have everything at home, and that can be doable, right? This is just for me to learn. My ultimate goal is to learn cloud computing, but when I'm really good at what I do here, then it will be much more easier for me to transition into a cloud environment, because I already do everything at home. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of learning a little bit of the UI, how UI looks, where its certain components are and buttons are and this and that. That pretty much it. All the tools and concept behind it's a similar to what you do at home. Does that make sense? So yeah,
Yeah.
DevOps, you can do whatever. You can do CI. Like you already, I mean, you can go to my website and you can see all the documents, everything that I have showed on my documentation, the blog post. They're all done at home, so it's doable.
Awesome. Wait, let me just get the link for Utba's website and share it down in the chat as well as the description later, so like people can access it. By the way, Utba, do you like run your website on your like home server?
I have couple. I haven't I haven't publicly accessed yet, but that's in the making because there's a couple things that I need to touch before I do it. But I have a couple of websites that I'm hosting at home that I need to publicly make it public available.
That's great. Ashish, I just dropped it in the chat. Please check it out. And so I'd like to move ahead with the next question.
Okay.
Please wait a second. I am issue out of nowhere. Yeah. So my next question is, what's the role of automation in a like home lab, and how can you set up automation?
Um, so automation is basically like I mentioned, right? It's before is you have like when you're in the DevOps, right? You have Terraform and Ansible. Those are automation script. Now I'm gonna put that to the side for now, and I'm just gonna talk as someone who want to look into DevOps, right? I mean, they look into a home lab, right? As in general, where automation helps is, let's say for example you learn Linux and you understand all the ad hoc commands, right? Like for example, I'm sure if you use Mac or anyone, they use like sudo app like update and upgrade. Like you started from that and all the way to handling the file system hierarchy, the security and permission and all that. Now if you use Linux, if you do not have automation, you'll be writing those commands every time you log in into Linux, right? Now, if you want to perform certain tasks, you have to write the whole script. Now, where automation comes is you take those bunch of like ad hoc commands and you convert that into an automation script, which is known as bash script. Okay. So bash script is basically a programming, technically is a programming, right? You create you have ifs, you have a function, you have if and else, like conditional, you have everything. You take those commands, you put it on the form of code, and then you create a executable file and you store that somewhere, right? And then now if let's say if I jump into let's say if I created a new Linux environment like Ubuntu server or any server, and I want to install Docker, I don't need to write those whole commands after command like a command. I can just install like Git, and then I have my bash script on the GitHub. All I had to do clone it and run the script. That's it. Everything will be done automatically. We're going to take to the next level. Once you understand bash, understand Python. When you learn Python, you don't need to be crazy smart on Python, enough to understand how certain automation can work. Does that make sense? You don't need to be really like, oh, machine learning and algorithm and all that. You don't need to be going that route, enough to understand how the whole language works. Once you understand that little concept of, automation, you convert that bash into Python, where you can run all those, extensions, and you learn all those components and create multiple components and all that. In bash, you don't you can create multiple component, but in Python is a little bit more um, freedom to create multiple and bring every single extension out there to help you out. Now, you understand how this automation works, right? Now we're gonna take that to back to the DevOps. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, there's a Ansible and there's a Terraform. Ansible is something to configure within the servers, right? Let's say if you want to run ad hoc command, you can do um, Ansible. Terraform can also perform the same task as Ansible is, but is a more advanced. Now I need to, if I'm going and I'm gonna be like, hey man, I need to create one or two VMs of Ubuntu. Okay, I can do it. Fire up the Ubuntu, create another one. Now, if you're in a company, right, they'll be like, hey man, we just opened a new company, and user need, let's say, there's about 100 user that needs accounts and the dev environment setup, right? Now you're not gonna go and install like VMs after VMs after VMs after VM. That's where Terraform comes, because you take the API of that server, like or wherever the information about the server, you put it in the form of a variables. Then you write a script where it takes everything. Okay, what's the how many replicas you need, and how many, the user you need, the IP address ranges you need, all those stuff you describe in the form of script, and then you push it out. Once you push that out, it will create hundreds, if not thousands, of server in one script, in one shot. Does it make sense? And then you
That's
can
yep.
always do updates back and forth. You need to push update, run that script. You need to kill that thousands of server. You can write another script and you can kill it with one script, literally one shot. You don't need to go, this and this and that. You can just one shot in and out both. So that's where the automation comes. Now, how do you apply that at home? Create your own. If you, for example, I have Proxmox. My server has a Proxmox software, which is a open source hypervisor based on Debian, right? Now, it's amazing. I love where this Proxmox team has taken their application, like, then to the next level. Um, I have my own environment where I have the Terraform installed, and then I can just easily, within a shot, like within a click of a button, I can, I know, not a click, within the execute, I can just execute one file, and that's it. You get like two, three, four copies of VMs running. So yeah, there's a lot of tools, and you understand as you progress when you start building these tools, or hosting these tools at home. Yeah.
Okay, so Subra asks that is it basically sudo apt update and all?
What I mean by that? What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate a little
Uh,
bit? VMs.
Subra, please elaborate the question a bit.
Yeah, like
While we
I understand what he meant by that. Yeah, like for example, if you need to update, your Linux environment, let's say sudo update and upgrades, and fire, if you want to install certain packages, like I want, so let's say for example, I need all my servers to have, you know, um, Git installed. I want the btop, htop. I want neofetch. I want to install all those monitoring tools. I can do it just by running those commands, or describing those commands in the Terraform script, and push it out. And simple. What is a hypervisor? Okay, so I have the whole. I actually created this whole like blog post as my journey to Homelab, like my Homelab journey. I describe everything, what is hypervisor is and whatnot, but just give you a brief description. Is hypervisor is basically an operating system that install on your computer or desktop that gives you a functionality to create multiple VMs. It's so basically, if you're Windows and a lot of people download, um for example, what do you call that, VirtualBox. It's a small version of hypervisor, you can say. Where hypervisor is basically takes the whole component, whether CPU, GPU, RAMs, memory, everything, or in storage, from the host, and it's try to distribute that amongst um multiple VMs. It depends how you describe. So that's basically a simple in description in a nutshell.
hope
Then we have
Ashish had his
example.
question answered. And
Hmm.
so I'd like to move ahead with my next question, which is can you please
Hmm.
suggest some simple like projects or some hands-on like exercises that a beginner can perform in his new home lab that he just set up?
So, like I said, first of all, the first project that I would recommend is understand Linux. Linux is the king. You gotta understand. And I did actually mention, I tweeted yesterday and I responded to someone yesterday. I don't know if you guys know, approximately 90+% servers around the world are on Linux. More than 90, yeah, more than 95, I would say. 95 now. Like you take Google, Facebook, all their servers are on Linux. There's a lot of developers who do a lot of like API calls. You know, a lot of people hosting their APIs, like Google has their APIs and all that. Now that API call goes to a database server, right, where it has a lot of data. That data is stored on a Linux environment, right? Everything. So you, if you understand Linux, you understand how this the whole server side works, how the cloud computing works, how everything, like Linux is really powerful. Now, don't, and I honestly believe that every developers out there should learn Linux at some point. I'm not saying you have to be 100% on Linux. You should have at least like maybe a VM running on a corner where you practice, you know. Like for example, I'll give you example why I say Linux is important. And I'll also tackle this question that you have for projects. A lot of people create, um if you're web developers, you create a lot of projects, right? Now, if you have a lot of projects, you use this um, technology, a platform called Vercel, right? You use Vercel to host your application. You use there's another one I can't remember the name of it, but different platform that you use to host. Some people use GitHub pages, right? Some people have a hosting platform like Hostinger and something where you have a bunch of folder, you just upload your project and good to go. Now, if I can tell you, you can host your own application at home without costing a single dime to you. You don't have to pay nothing, and you are getting and you are controlling your own content, whatever you put it at home, right? I'm not gonna suggest you to do that, and the reason why I'll tackle that as well. Now, for example, as you probably see, I posted a video or pictures on me updating like my first Homelab project, right? Now, I mean the DevOps project. That DevOps project I've already done to multiple times. I just wanted to show people what you can do. Now, I had this old when I was doing web development, I had this old projects where I was some landing pages and different tech stack, right? Like React and all that. And then what I did is I created a Docker image out of that. I run with on my CI/CD pipeline. I run the whole CI/CD, like push it out the code to my whole self-hosted GitLab, and then I generate a Docker image and I push it to Docker Hub. Okay, we following me, right? Docker Hub. Now, once I push that out, I have my Docker server running at home. I clone that image to my environment, put it on the, install everything, test it out on my local environment, running absolutely fine. And just for testing, it's not there because, like I said, I had to test. I took it down. Then I have my proxy server where I took the whole like the IP address where it's going and I proxied it out to public. So now anyone can go to that site. They can easily go. They're basically hosting at my house. This is a power of Homelab. You can go from testing to learning to deploying. I mean, to building and then to deploying. So you can do all sort of stuff. There's three components involved in type of projects in Homelab. One is for a learning purpose, right? You just want to learn, create a project to learn. One is to build something really strong and production level build. One is a self-hosting. You don't have to be on these three, all three of them. You can choose one. Like for example, me, I started with learning, then I started with deploying, and now I'm hosting it at my own environment. And you already know, Krishna, we already have one-on-one, and I show you my whole environment, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and you can see the whole, like, you can go follow my website, and then you can go through the whole blog post of documentation that I created. It'll be much better for you to follow up, right? But I say create your own journey. Don't just get all the ideas that I'm telling you right now and do research. You do not, if someone tell you about certain things, you don't go and do right away. You do your own research and understand the concept and everything, and then you move on to the next level, right? That's what I did. I There's a bunch of people I follow on YouTube and Twitter and everything. They have literally, they're running data centers in their house. Data centers. And you know what data center is, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen a movie where they have like bunch of, you know, closet full of racks, like, computer? That's basically a data center. And people have that at home. I just have a small one. I started with this, I started with this, and then after that I install bunch of other components as per my needs. Yeah, man, check it out. If you have any question or anything, you can always tag me on your tweet and I can respond to you.
Utba is very open and like always open to connect with people, so like you can always can contact him if you have any problems.
Oh yeah, like
So
I always look out for people, like especially if they're learning and especially if you're trying to build home lab. I'm with you, bro. Like seriously, I'm with you because it's the most powerful way to uplift your like up up your skills, basically, like skyrocket your skills. And that's the reason why I tell people, like, start home labbing. Don't complain. Like, a lot of people will be like, hey, I don't know how this thing works. Don't complain, build. And if you don't know, ask. There's a lot of other people. I don't know. I mean, I didn't know all this about all this thing. I follow. I'm really, and I'll tell you, Krishna, if I'm really, really heavy on Reddit. I do a lot of Reddit research. People, I don't go to like all these website, and I go to Reddit because Reddit is where a lot of people giving updates, giving advices, giving tips and tricks. Oh my god, the amount of tips and tricks that you find in Reddit, it's amazing. Amazing. So I would say there's a subreddit called Homelab, r/Homelab. Subscribe to that. People always posting pictures about their home lab, asking question, answering question, sharing updates, and sharing new application, open source application. And that's the best thing about home lab. Even the application itself is free because every application that you're going to run on home lab, it's going to be open source. So there's not a lot of security issues too.
that's great. That's great. I'll definitely check out the Reddit thing you say. I'll check that out and I'll
You like my
obviously
mug?
subscribe to you.
You
Yeah,
like my mug?
that looks awesome. It has a lot of stickers. It's just full
Yeah,
of
dude, I
stickers.
sticker bomb my entire like entire Yeti. Yeah.
I joined this MLH Global Hack Week and I'm trying to get some stickers and then for me to just attach to my laptop and then show people that hey, I got some stickers too.
Yeah, I actually joined yesterday's pieces.
Yeah,
It was
I
good,
saw
man. It
you
was.
in there.
I understand. I understand. I learned a little bit more. There's a couple feature that they shared that I was not aware of it, and it was amazing. And not gonna lie, pieces are literally helping me so much with my home lab nowadays. It's amazing, bro. Like the amount of results that I get on that application. Holy crap, amazing.
Peace is really great. Pieces. Okay, so I'd like to go with my next question now, which is
Yeah.
like now you have your home lab set up. Now, would you like to share some like best practices or like good practices on like maintaining the security of a home lab?
So the first thing first, as I mentioned before in earlier this podcast, is you need to first build your networking stack. I know a lot of people don't have enough, they have probably don't have financials, money or something right now to build, because sometimes these components or these devices, they do cost a lot. But, but you could always virtualize it. So if you have a little one desktop, you can always virtualize your firewall. I actually virtualizing my firewall at the moment. I'm in planning to buy um certain component. Before I tackle this question, there's one thing that came on my mind. A lot of people have questions. It's like, hey man, I wanted to build, but I don't know where to get these devices. I don't know, if I may be able to buy these devices. They're too costly. Now, to better answer that question, you first see around your house and see if you have any old computer. If you do not have it, ask your family members. Call your aunt, your mom, your dad, your side, anyone. Say, hey man, like, do you have any computers or anything that you guys not using it? Can I have it? Let's say if you search at home, you didn't find it. You search through your whole family, you didn't find it. Next thing you got to do is you need to find an IT company in your local area. Okay. Now you got to understand some of the IT companies, they have clients, and those clients tend, after 5 years or every 5 years or 3 years or 4 years, depending on the amount of the years of warranty that particular computer has, they go decommission. And what I mean by decommission is they completely bring it down. The whole data center is just completely down, and they install new equipments. So those computers or those equipment, they either go to the recycle company, or they go to, maybe, to their employees. What you got to do is you call that company and be like, hey, I'm a student. I need to learn some technology for, for my career and for school purpose, right? And they will be able to give you those. You just have to give them valid reason why, and they will give you no money, nothing. Those IT company, depending on type of company too, if they're just like, then they're gonna charge you. Like, but if some companies are really good, they always look after people like students, right? They're gonna give you this computer, bring it home, and learn it. Simple. All my equipments, beside one beefy server that I just mentioned about 24 cores and all that. Beside that, everything I got it for free. I mean, everything I got it for free because what I just told you. If you do this, you get it for free. The reason why I got the beef I spent because I wanted a beefy computer that holds my hardcore, hardcore or core technology or core machines that I wanted to build. That's the reason I bought the old the powerful one. The rest of the stuff I got it for free. That's what I wanted to mention is if you ever had this question, think about what I just said. See at home. If you don't find it, go after your family. If you don't find it, go after the local area and environment. Even then, you don't find it, go to eBay, man. You get it. You get the whole rack server for $35. Literally $35, the whole rack server. But keep in mind, those servers are really heavy on power consumption. They can go up to 300 watts. So, and they're loud. They're super loud. So I would say it's better to just use the consumer based desktop, like those PCs, or build your own if you want to. But other than that, it should be fine.
If you didn't know, last day I had a one-on-one coffee chat with you, and then
Mhm.
I told you that I just set up my home lab on my 10-year-old dad's laptop, which he wasn't using anymore, and then it's running super fine. Like Ubuntu server is like pure butter and stuff. It's
Mhm.
super smooth, and then I can easily learn like the basics using it.
Yep. But yeah,
Okay,
yeah, learn that. Learn different stuff. This
so
GitHub sucks, man. Yeah, I
it's
don't use GitHub, bro. I mean, don't judge me by my GitHub. Trust me, no one don't judge me by my GitHub. I don't use GitHub at all. I use
do
GitHub
you
just to
have
store
GitHub?
my private stuff. Yeah, I do, but I don't use it. I use my own GitLab. So, if you think my GitHub sucks, yeah, I do believe that as well. So don't feel bad. I know he's trying to troll me. I troll him back. And go ahead. You can't
He
troll
also
the
has a
trollster.
speaking emoji.
You can't troll the trolls that you know me. I always trolling people. You can't troll me, bro. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like Ashish had a question here. That is,
Hmm.
he is in web development, and what should he learn in web security? And
Hmm.
he has zero idea on security. Would you like to share any advice?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't even cover. I just went back and I didn't even cover. So security side. Um, keep that question if you on the screen so that way I can answer that.
Okay, okay.
Um, yeah. So security side, and you mentioned is the best practice in security. You need to first build a firewall, either a virtualized or if you find a device that has maybe a two NICs or three NICs. NICs, what I mean by network interface, those
Hmm.
Ethernet ports basically. If you
Yeah,
have two, three Ethernet ports, you can use that to create virtualized firewall. Once you have that, then you just stop building with components like using different desktop to build it. And the reason why is because when you have good networking in if you have good networking stack deploy, you can already have a solid security foundation covered. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So that means you can create VLANs. That means you can have multiple, then you can isolate those home labs. So you have, let's say, one server can be just for web development, one server can be just for your media servers, could be a media server, one can be this, and they're all operating on a different node and they cannot talk to each other because you created that kind of um that created that what is the word I'm looking for? Configuration. You created that whole configuration. Now, um, by the way, okay, what should I learn in web security? You need to learn how to secure like API. You need to learn how can you secure the API keys, different keys. How can you dumb the instead best practice? You follow the web development best practice, right? Like how you do not want to expose your API keys. So a lot of people, that you don't want to expose your username and password. You want to create an .env file. You want to also mention and create, do not create too much of animation. Don't clutter your projects, because when you start hosting and you do not, if your application is going to load really slow, people tend to leave. They don't like to go, you know what I mean? And make sure when you host somewhere in the application, and that's what reason I'm saying, when you host, like, you can host all these at home, but the reason why I say to host in a third party is because they handle the security side. You're not going to be too familiar with security side, and you end up getting DDoS. DDoS is basically a type of cyber attack that a lot of people push it out, and no one can even access your server, your application or your website, is because there's a lot of bots probably sending packets back and forth, right? So that's why if you deploy the security side, make sure you secure your application. You do not share any keys with anyone. Even if you upload your application to GitHub, do not share any keys. That's the number one priority. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then there's a lot of articles and blog posts that you can find for best practice, so you can go ahead and search on that as well. Hey, could say one more about what to search on eBay? Yeah, just put like servers. I mean, what do you mean like eBay? Like you could search like servers, or industrial like professional servers, or maybe desktop. mm, You know, I mean, do your search, and then you can find a good deals on that. Yeah. What up? Next question. Anything you would like to add? Can you hear me? Can you hear
yeah,
me?
yeah. I can just in the middle when you're talking about, yeah, when you're reading Subra's answer or the question, like my internet went out blank, and then I couldn't hear anything, but now I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I figured. I was like, I'm talking. Where you go?
Yeah, I'm like doing the stream with a mobile internet.
Uh-oh.
My router
Yeah,
stopped
no,
working.
actually, I don't know if you saw my tweet. I actually have my DNS running at home, and somehow I was doing some update, end up breaking the entire thing. So I spent
Ah,
5
shit.
hours, literally 5 to 6 hours. I finished like 1:30 ish, around 1:30 ish, and in the morning, like I bring everything up because I could not access my internet. I could not access like web. My internet is there, but I could not access any of my site or anything, and it was just pain. It was really pain. But you got to remember when you build this, get ready to fix these things, and that's where you learn the most. That's where you learn the most. Wi-Fi is
Yeah,
down.
my Wi-Fi is like one of the LEDs that are there for the signal that went like completely off, and then I'm not getting any internet connection on my laptop. Like it's connected, but the pages are not loading. So I gotta check out what the problem is after the stream.
I got my
Okay,
appointment with my
so
barber, so that's why I didn't cut. I was like, let me just do that and then go and get it done.
let me just quickly go to the next question. That is,
Mhm.
how can home lab experience translate into job opportunities in DevOps?
Hmm. It's a lot. Like it can play a huge role on the gap that you have when you, let's say for example, you someone graduated and be like, hey man, I'm really good at DevOps, and people will be like, well, I don't see anything. Just like that guy says, like, ah, your GitHub has sucked. It's because you cannot share these things, right? You'd be like, you're not working at the moment in DevOps. You haven't studied anything in internal DevOps. So where do you actually show them the proof? You show them by sharing the home lab. Now, how do you show it is a couple ways, and you can either start documenting. Documentation in home lab is the key because you're not going to remember anything that you learn unless you document it. You know what I mean? That's why strongly believe is document step by step process. So that way you first either share it with other people like I do. I share it on my site. So anyone like people like you and other people in the chat, they can go and find benefit out of it, right? And that's why I say documentation is good. Create stream about it, right? Do some streaming, share your, hey, how you create this Docker container. What's the process went behind Docker container? I do have a stream. I haven't streamed much because I'm being really busy with work and all that. So, but I'm still consistent doing my blog post so that way people can see it what I'm doing. Do stream, live streaming. People give you ideas, you get ideas, keep that record, right? In stream, I think if you're doing the stream, you can create a highlight of certain things that you handle, and that highlight stays on stream, so you can link that to your portfolio. Okay, so you got blog posts there, you got stream there, then you do podcasting or you do coffee chats with other people, right? And what I normally do is when I do a coffee chat, I like to showcase what I'm doing and try to give people interest. Like, hey, this is what I've been doing. When I say like DevOps, that's a DevOps thing I did. So it kind of like it creates two things. It kind of build your authenticity in public, that hey, you're doing something, you're not faking it, you're not like just talk, it's not, you actually sharing it. Second is you attract a lot of people by sharing it, right? It could be maybe in Twitter, if you do like a LinkedIn, there could be thousands of like people gonna be, let's say for example it's a chain of thoughts, right? So you have 10 people commented on your blog post, then people who following that can see that she likes your content, or he or she like your content. They're gonna go in and share that, and then once you do sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing, that's where you get a lot of eyes, like a employer's eyes lays on that, like a, like a maybe hiring manager or product manager or maybe anyone looking for, like, hey, this dude is doing this, you know job, is amazing at it, let's give him a chance, you know what I mean? So you have to build that connection. So start doing this and sharing in public can help you tremendously, not gonna lie.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. Ashish has said that errors do teach a lot. I recently learned this the hard way. I was in tutorial hell. Okay, congrats, Ashish, that you got out of the tutorial hell and started
Yeah.
building something.
Tutorial hell, don't
It sucks.
the sooner you get out, the better it is for you.
Yeah, so I'd like to move to my next question, that is, would you like to suggest some online communities or maybe resources for beginners starting with Homelab?
Yeah, so first thing first, as I mentioned, you need to first plan it out as what your home lab is supposed to be. You want to tackle the web development side, you want to tackle the security side, cybersecurity side, you want to tackle the DevOps side, anything, sysadmin side, you want to learn Linux, so you want first understand that. Then there are do some research on, create an account on Reddit and start liking or subscribing to certain subreddit, like I mentioned, home lab. There's a Linux and sysad, there's a lot of site that, subreddit that you can link, get connected to. And then there's a couple of YouTubers that really heavy on on home lab. My personal favorite, and I've been following for so long, his name is Techno Tim. Okay. He is a software developer, but he is a software developer. He is a DevOps engineer. He is a system engineer, network engineer, cloud engineer. He's everything just by doing home labbing. And I kid you not, go check out his stuff. I'll share the link. You can put it. It's called Techno Tim. Um, Let me see if I can share it.
Okay, let me check.
It's called Techno Tim,
Uh,
and he's amazing at it. And
can I
I'm
find him on
always
YouTube?
following him. Yeah, yeah, he has a YouTube channel. Yeah. Um, I learned a lot of DevOps concept and tools from him. He teach amazing
Awesome, I found
concept.
Technotim.
Yeah, him. If you want to learn Linux, there's a guy named Jay. He has a channel called Learn Linux TV. There is DistroTube. There's another guy named Dix. There's, if you want to learn Linux, there's another guy named I think it's called Titus or Titus the Linux
Yeah, Chris
something, I
Tice Tech.
forgot what. Chris Titus Tech. There you go, Chris Titus Tech. He's really huge on Linux. So there's a lot of people that you can follow to learn Linux. And not gonna lie, if you're developers, you already familiar with I think, what is it called? Code Free Code Camp. They have a lot of
Yeah.
like DevOps. You have a lot of Linux. You have a lot of like sysadmin stuff. They have a networking side. They have a CI/CD. You, all those tools that you want to learn, you can learn it and apply. Start applying. the the main core concept why people create home lab is to apply what they learn rather than just being stuck on tutorial, and they'll be like, yeah, I understand, and then when you go in and do your when you start creating project, you don't even know where to even begin with, you know what I mean? And that's the whole purpose. Like, for example, me, I'm still doing web development. I still write code, um not extensively, but I still use code here and there. So I have my own Linux VM where I have my the blog post, the code I have on. I nowadays I do my product development on Linux environment exclusively, not on my local Mac. Right, it has to be in Linux. So yeah, so you can join that. You can join this Discord. There's a lot of Discord channel. Christian Lampa is one of the amazing guy. Christian Lampa is there. So yeah, if you start doing home lab, when you just put home lab on YouTube, the first couple of people that comes up, those are popular.
Another channel I would like to suggest is the Network Chuck.
Yes, Network Chuck is. How can I forget that, man? He is amazing, dude. He's amazing, and the way he teach, it gets stuck here for some reason.
Yeah, that's the point. And then Akshay says that you sparked a new interest in him.
Yeah, give it a shot, man. Trust me, and I'm not gonna lie. And as a disclaimer, and this is the only problem, and it is the biggest problem that you will face on in the homeland environment. And I kid you not, is the most craziest problem. And the reason why I'm emphasizing, because I'm about to say, is gonna blow your mind. Is the craziest problem is an addiction.
You say the same thing to me last day.
It's an addiction. That's the only problem for homeland. It's an addiction.
Okay, so now I think we're at the end, and I have a final question for
Okay.
Utba, which is like, how do you see Home Lab like evolving with the future?
Homelab is not going anywhere. You gotta understand. A lot of people have this question like, "Oh, serverless or cloud or something like that." Now, you gotta understand. What I mean by when you say that cloud or serverless, it's not like, oh, there's some computers running in the sky like floating around. It's not that. Cloud is the simplest and dumbest way to explain someone. Cloud is basically you're using a resources on someone else's computer. Simple as that. Like that it is. Like someone hosting a beefy server somewhere in a data center and you can rent that by paying them. You know what I mean? Like I need a VM. Okay, I'm gonna pay you like $5 a month. Just give me whatever I want, just and work it out. And then that's a rent. And after that, then you can have it and I'm good to go. You get what I'm saying? That's a simple
Yeah,
serverless, same thing. Serverless is it's a cloud. It's basically a SaaS. It's a SaaS. Service as a service as no. What do you call that? SaaS software as a service. Software as a
yeah,
service. You everything is hosting on their platform. You just have to log in. You don't have to worry about maintaining it, security side, nothing. All you do is just create your account, request for VMs. They give you, you work on it. Once you're done, you delete that VM, and you're good to go. Right? That's serverless. That's basically what serverless means. But you still end of the day using someone else's computer. So instead of doing that, you create that. Now, how is it evolving? You can where you were kind of stuck at the where you kind of stuck at the small tiny VM, right? Let me see, drink water, man. I'm thirsty. Where you kind of stuck in the tiny bit of computer. Now you can bring cloud into your house, and I do have my own small cloud that I'm running at home. Where I have my NAS, and I convert that NAS into my cloud, and I by using Nextcloud as basically an open source. It's like a Google Suite, but you're running at home. Does that make sense? Like you have
yeah.
Google Drive, you have Google Chat, you have Google Excel sheets, and all that. You're running the entire thing at home, and then I with the help of proxy server, I'm hosting it publicly. And then I can easily upload my file and it's staying on my local area and good to go. So it's evolving. You can bring cloud. You have AI. Oh my God, people running AI at home. Like you have Olama. You can install on your Linux server. Or maybe yeah, for AI you need a little bit more beefy computer. We have a lot of like, those 4090 GPU 4090 graphics card, right? You need those kind of stuff. What a NAS is basic network as a storage. So it's a device where you have multiple hard drive and it's in the RAID configuration, right? So yeah, look into it. NAS, NAS, NAS. Look into that. Um, No,
NAS.
NAS. Yeah, NAS. So yeah, you have that at home. So yeah, it's involving. You people now you can host all your stuff. Now, with everything, you got to keep one more thing, and it's a really really important. Keep in mind, anything you do at home lab, end of the day, it's at your risk. So don't do anything that is more production level. Don't do anything with the production level unless you understand the risk behind it, because when you do hosting somewhere else, like I said, there are teams of developers and people out there who maintain that environment, right? And they are responsible for all the securities and everything. So I will say, do not do anything lightweight. Maybe just maybe like a one application that you wanted to host just a testing. Yeah, go for it. But production level, do not, because it's a pain in the butt if you go that route. But for learning purpose, man, amazing. Start home labbing.
Okay, Udba, so I have this quick fun question for you at the end. That is there any emerging technologies that you're excited to experiment with in your home lab?
A lot, dude. A lot. I have right now. I have 30 projects listed on my bucket right now that I wanted to test it out. Like literally 30 projects on my pipeline. I need to learn Kubernetes. I need to be really good at Kubernetes. I need to learn um, a and Terraform, more advanced of Terraform. I need to. There's a lot of stuff that I need to test out. A lot of application media server. I wanted to build my own media server. I want to build my own database servers. Like those kind of technologies that I'm really looking forward to it. But that can be tackled later on. Right now, I'm just more focused on DevOps side, because I'm forced once I understand and build certain projects, when I land a job or maybe an opportunity, then I can start executing these projects on a daily basis. But right now, I have a lot. I have a lot of projects, dude. Plus, I have my job too, so I have to do job, and then so it's a lot. It's a lot that I have on my plate, but we'll get to that eventually.
Okay, Udba, best of luck for whatever you try to do.
Yeah, man, definitely. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Any cool thing you like to share at the end of this podcast?
Um, so I want to ask you a question, and then I'm gonna say one. So out of all what I have just provided, what is your take on Home Lab? I don't
Um,
want to put you on a
I
spot, but I wanted to know.
Yeah, I think home lab's a pretty good place to like apply a knowledge and then like learn hands-on instead of just learning from tutorials, and you get the chance to just replicate everything yourself. And then I
Hmm.
think that is a huge a huge opportunity for newbies learning any technology.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think I'll be using home lab more in the future, and then I'll be setting up my own home lab slowly, and I'm excited with home lab.
Yeah, definitely study home lab, but stay focused on your goals too first. You want to treat home lab, if you're a student and you're learning and you're moving on, then I will say keep focus on your main goal and
Yeah.
do home lab on the side. My case, I'm already in professional level, like so I use both hands on hand. Daytime is my professional time, evening time is my home lab time, my own side hustle time, I would say, right? So I would say, you as being a student, I would say focus on your web dev or whatever you're doing, but then you can create it. Like I said, you can create a Docker. If you know how to create Docker, you whatever application that you're building, right, at your house, like in your web dev environment, you create a project, you package that in Docker container, and you push it to your environment and test it out to see how it works. Does that make sense? These kind of
Yeah.
stuff that help you. Then in the meantime, you can build your CI/CD pipeline. That will then you have additional skills that you learn. You learn Docker area skills. You learn CI/CD pipeline skills. You learn how to deploy it, how to create an image, all those stuff. So if you do that while you're doing home lab, you're gonna kill a lot of birds with just one stone. a lot of birds, not just two, a lot of birds with just one stone. Home lab equals networking, security, hardware, and cloud. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, cloud, not really. Cloud, not really. Um, that's the whole purpose of home lab is we try to isolate the cloud. Yeah, but other than three, yes, definitely. And you should be learning Linux. Linux should be your number one priority. Then you need to learn virtualization. You need to learn networking. You need to learn containerization. There's a Docker container. There's also called Linux container. We can always share that. Like look into that. It's called LXE. LXE. Right. Look into that. There is a Kubernetes that you can learn. You can learn what do you call yeah there's and then explore more as you keep moving as you progressing on the on your home lab journey. Hey, no that I'm always known for trolling. I'm a biggest troll over here, but I troll responsibly, not like just being someone chat. I'd be like, does the guy like who just send me a message? I'm laughing. I'm like, dude, I agree. You don't have to troll me about it. I agree. But yeah, thank you so much, Shreya. I appreciate you. Any other
So
questions,
Utba,
sir?
I don't think anyone has any questions, and Subra says that it's too much stuff to learn. Yeah, but you'll just slowly do it.
It is too much. We're not learning everything at once. So
Yeah,
there,
that's the
like
problem.
like every course has a follow up. You start with let's say web dev, you take HTML, and you learn CSS, and you learn JavaScript, then you learn JavaScript framework. You also learn CSS frameworks. Then you move on to backend. It's the same process. You start small like this tiny device, and then you practice and you progress as you go, and then also plan it out. I'm summarizing so that way people who just join me they understand. You summarize exactly, plan it out what exactly. If you go to my home lab blog post, I have a clear picture, like a screenshot of my whole entire plan. You can see how I'm planning first, right? Plan it out, understand, and then build accordingly. You don't just go and buy like, oh, I want to buy like Cisco router. I want to buy like all those equipment. Don't do that. Do not do that. You just hurting your pocket, and you're not gonna even find any fun in it. You find fun as you progress. Placement coming for what? Yeah, do it. Hey man, if you carry this tiny device, you can keep it in your pocket, and then you just have to connect to your laptop, and you can start practicing.
Wait, what's that?
Raspberry,
Oh shit!
Raspberry Pi. Yeah, yeah, you know
I,
that,
I
right?
thought it was
Raspberry
something
Pi is just
different. Yeah, yeah,
no, 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 no. You take Raspberry Pi,
yeah.
you keep it in your pocket. If you're in a coffee shop, even out of the country or out of the state, all you got to do just need to find an internet, and then or you can just take the USB, connect directly to your laptop. You can provide internet, and you can do SSH and do your stuff on it. I do it all the time. This is my hotspot.
I plan to buy one for the portability stuff, but I'm so broke that I can't even afford a Raspberry.
Well, rewind this whole podcast and see what I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey man, just because we're broke doesn't mean that anything we're gonna be stopped learning things.
Yeah,
If you're broke,
but
download virtual box on your computer and install Linux. You already told you before, do that.
yeah. I did actually.
Amazing.
I've like set up a few VMs, and I have that old computer of mine which I'm like learning with, and I'm currently in the basic stage learning about virtualization and stuff. I think I'll slowly
Uh,
progress.
some resources on Linux and networking, books preferably. Okay. Okay. So if you're looking for books, there is a book called. Let me search it. Hold on one second. I'm not really a book type of person. I started with book, but I end up I'm a hands-on person, man. I just go by like I look at it the very Raspberry is expensive for student for college. You don't need to buy Raspberry, right? Okay, you gotta understand. Raspberry Pi is basically a single board computer. So if you go to Amazon right now and type in single board computer, you can find an alternative to a Raspberry Pi. The reason why Raspberry Pi is so expensive is everyone is after Raspberry Pi. So they're gonna of course increase the price if the demand is really high, right? But you can buy Orange Pie. I'm, I'm not kidding you up. There's this thing called Orange Pie. There's a
Yeah,
banana
same
pie.
banana pie.
There, there's banana pie. There's a raspberry pie. There's a like lot of pies out there. Buy those. Those are goes for $30, $40. They're cheap because at the end of the day, it's a single board. You just need a Linux environment. That's it.
What do you
Um,
think about the Raspberry Pi Zero W version?
Zero.
Zero
Zero
W.
is good. Zero W. Hold on, let me see. What is Raspberry? I
Yeah,
think I
it's just
heard
zero with the
this.
Wi-Fi, I guess.
Oh yeah, this one. This is really good. Pi
Yeah.
Zero. Yeah, you can run Pi-hole, which is a ad blocker. It also runs as a DNS server. So you know how you go to a certain website and you see a bunch of like tiny boxes on a corner and you'll be like, "Hey, buy this iPad or buy this MacBook," and then you click on it and there's a bunch of ads. If you install Pi-hole and you turn that in and you connect that to your router, you're not gonna get ads at all. $30 is like 1 month of allowance for college, man.
I also saw this
I
thing
mean,
last day. It's called Rock Pi, I guess.
there's a lot of them. There's a new one there's a new, well, not new, but it's relatively really popular now. It's called Zimaboard. Check it out.
Oh,
Let me
heard that
search
name.
you.
Zema board. Oh yeah, I see
So
it.
Zimaboard is really good because it gives you the PCIe slot.
Yeah.
It gives you two network slot a port. It gives you two it's a whole computer. It's a x86 computer. You can run so much. You can run the entire uh yeah, you can run so much on it, bro. Like a lot. Don't push. You cannot install games and all that because it cannot handle games. You know. Um, but other than that, yeah, it's really good. $30 is like 1 month of allowance for college, man. I feel you, man. I've been there. I've been there. Especially in, I mean, even in United States, it's the same thing. When when you're a student, you struggle sometimes, but there's always a way. Um, there's always a way. You just need to look around. There's always a way.
You just never stop learning and then find a workaround.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the name. I didn't know. I didn't knew that orange pie. Yeah, there's a lot of fruits pie out there. Yeah, look into it. Can I run Doom though? The Doom, the game, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. On what? On Raspberry?
I don't think you can run that on Raspberry Zero. You can obviously run that on Raspberry
It's a
Pi 4,
it's
I
a really
guess.
graphic. It's a really graphic intense game. So I don't think what you can run on Raspberry. It's a retro pie. RetroPie is basically a those games from 90s like Mario's and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Street Fighters and all that. You can run that on the Raspberry Pi. People play it.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm gonna build one soon. I love retro games, but I haven't get a chance. I haven't had a chance to build anything.
Okay, Utba,
Dude,
I
I
guess
love
you
this. This
had
is
a
amazing.
fun time today.
Oh yeah, you know me, bro. I can talk about Homelab all day long. That's how much I love it.
So I guess no one else has any question, and it was really nice hosting the second episode of the podcast with you. It was really like I came to know about a lot of stuff that I didn't know before. It's so good. Dude, what do you mean? My main computer, like
Can I
my
run
desktop,
well?
cannot run that.
Can I run well on Raspberry Pi? Okay, first of all, it's not Raspberry Pi as a pie you eat, it's a PI. And Raspberry Pi is actually came out from the those pie that you run like I don't know if I'm wrong. Uh, those 3.14, the you take the pi out like the pi of something and it come mat. So it's came out from that. I don't know. There's a link behind that, but I don't know what I see. I still have yet to discover or research. Can I run well? What do you mean by well? Can you elaborate?
Val is a game. It's a game. It's a Valorant, the
Oh
full
no,
form.
no, I don't know about that game to be honest. So I'm not
Yeah, it's
hundred
pretty
percent
resource
qualified to
intensive.
answer this question.
It's CPU intensive. You cannot actually, like. I know it's a joke, but
You gotta
go get it.
understand. It's like you pushing an elephant in the Mini Cooper. You're talking about that. You're fitting and trying to fit elephant in a Mini Cooper. You can. It's the same way. You cannot put Forza game. You cannot put F1 Forza game into a Raspberry Pi. You cannot, simply cannot. Same here, brother. Learned a lot new stuff. Yeah, man, definitely.
That's
Thank
great.
you. I really appreciate the feedback. But yeah, I'm always about that. Always sharing new things and them learning. And I'm glad that you find some value out of this. But yeah, if you ever have any question, you can always ask. I'm always here to answer.
So thank you for
Krishna.
joining me with the podcast, Utba. It was really nice hosting this with you. I look forward to many more such coffee chats and stuff.
Yeah,
And
man,
I
I really
think we
appreciate
should
you.
end stream.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It went great. Just despite of the little bit technical difficulties, but it went great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you so much,
You're
folks,
doing
for
awesome, bro.
hopping
You're doing
in.
awesome.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much, folks, for hopping in, and those who are watching the recorded. Thanks for like deciding to watch the recorded even after you missed the live stuff. And Subra says
Mhm.
that he would. Uh, we should definitely have a coffee chat. That means he wants to have a coffee chat with you.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. Let me know.
He's a
All
great
right.
guy. You can just contact him.
Oh yeah, I know Subra. You've been jumping a lot of Twitter Spaces. I've seen he's creating a VS Code, like I think some IDE. That's what I know. He mentioned it, and I think is
Oh, is he?
open source. I don't know. He's mentioned something about like that, so not quite remember. But yeah, thanks, man. Really appreciate
Yeah,
you.
we will. We will come back.
All right. Yep. Definitely. All
So
right.
thank you, everyone. This is Krishna and Udba, and let's close the stream. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. See you later.
Peace out.